What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video. Today I want to talk about some things developing in the meta. If you read the title, you'd see that I have been referencing that Palafin Balance has taken a decline. And it's very apparent in the 2023 Portland Regionals results. This isn't, I'm going to start off right here. I didn't know how I was going to start this video, but I want to say off the bat, I don't think Palafin Balance is bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it's very good still, but you're definitely seeing a decline in it, and it makes a lot of sense. And I kind of want to just look at a lot of the results from Portland Regionals, because I think it's really interesting. There's a lot of really cool team archetypes coming up. Joe UX9, one with Jumpluff. So, you know, really cool stuff developing in the meta. And like Palafin on the decline is just super interesting to me, and something that I think makes sense because there are other really solid water types in the format right now that can take the place of Palafin. So I just want to talk about all that here today. So if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more videos like this in the future, and let me know what your favorite Pokemon that you saw at Portland Regionals was. Mine, obviously, Jumpluff. Jumpluff was so cool. I've been playing with a handful of Jumpluff teams, made a couple Jumpluff videos. It's just a really cool Pokemon right now. But let's talk about this. So we're going to scroll down and just look at the top 8 off the rip, right? Looking at the top 8 here, you can see that there's only actually 2 Palafin in the top 8, which is crazy because Palafin's been so consistent. Palafin has been insanely consistent in the last couple regional events in EUIC and was it EUIC? Yes, on EUIC. It's been so long since the last regional, I couldn't remember what it was. But like, there's been so many Palafin teams, and Palafin Balance, you know, the standard FAP as people are calling it. I hate that they're calling it that. But like Flutter Mane Amoonguss Arcanine Palafin with Ting Lu, and then throw in X Dragon type here. It's been incredibly consistent. It's something that just keeps popping up. And it's interesting to finally see the decline. I think it makes sense, though. It makes a lot of sense in terms of what we are seeing in the metagame right now. For example, if you take a look, you know, right now we're seeing a lot of Dozo make a reappearance, and Dozo makes sense in terms of like Glamora stall and putting it with Chi-Yu Flutter to do big knockouts, and then have Dozo and Tatsugiri clean up the rest of the game. Gyarados is making its debut in this series as like the support intimidate setter, which makes sense, and it takes that water type role that Palafin likes to fill. And you're also seeing Bundle in the instance of like Abomasnow teams. As you see, Abomasnow has made its way into the top 4. And Abomasnow teams make sense right now because Blizzard on Bundle and Abomasnow is super good into a lot of stuff in the format right now. Ground type is incredibly powerful. So I think Bundle making a resurgence makes a ton of sense. You know, things like Garchomp are running around. Great Tusk is back in force. Seeing Gyarados, being able to freeze dry Gyarados makes sense. So Dragonite still being so prevalent, it just adds up that Bundle has made its return. But you're looking at a lot of these teams. Again, we talked about Joe's team. It's the Jumpluff team. I believe Joe used this in a Victory Road tour and actually won that. I don't know if there were any changes from this team to from the Victory Road team to this team. This is just a really cool team. Just to bring up the Pokepace here, I'm a huge fan of this. So you have the eject pack on Torkoal, and you're actually running speed investment here, which is really cool. And you're seeing actually eject pack pop up on a handful of Pokemon currently. Like Torkoal's running it very consistently. I even saw some Palafin run it at the Portland Regionals, which is kind of smart because you can run like close combat and then kick your Palafin out to reset 0 to hero while still doing chip damage initially. I think that makes a lot of sense. So also the Terra Blast with Terra Fire on Kingambit's really cool because, you know, you're getting the drought effect from Torkoal, and being able to maximize that Terra Blast damage is something that's really smart and really cool. On top of that, you have the photosynthesis users in the form of Flutter Mane and Great Tusk here with the Chlorophyll user as well. So you're getting a lot of sun benefit on this team. And then Shenpao's just there for, you know, like Sucker Punch priority. It has access to Taunt. You're able to just kind of lower defenses and allow these big heavy hitters to go in. I think this team is super cool. There, I had to make my face smaller so it actually showed a lot of the teams. But I feel like this event, in terms of regionals as of late, had a lot more spice in it. You saw a lot more stuff popping up that I don't see a ton of. Like there was a fair bit of like Lycanroc, T-Tar stuff going on, which I thought was really cool. Corviknight was on a fair number of teams. I think Corviknight's in a really solid place right now in the meta, where there's just like not many Pokemon that are hitting it for crazy amounts of damage. Because like if you look, like Iron Hands is still good, but it's not popping up as frequently as it did in Series 2. And that puts things like Corviknight in a really good spot because you're not getting hit by electric types attacks as much. So I think Corviknight's actually like a really solid sleeper pick right now. It's on a handful of teams. It's not as popular as I'd love it to be because I love Corviknight, but like I think it might be the only one in the top like 60s. Well, this is 40, top 40. There's another one. So I think there's like 3 or 4 in the top 60. Which is pretty cool. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. But then if we just keep scrolling, let's break away from the top 8 here. Where mainly, you know, Palafin was something of a talking point. Palafin is there's another one. Palafin Balance, Gyarados, Dondozo, Bundle, Gyarados. You're just seeing other Pokemon pop up. You see Gavin Michaels here with Azumarill. I think Azumarill is actually a really good Palafin substitute. Even if you're just running like standard Palafin Balance stuff, running things like Azumarill make a lot of sense. Like you see it right here on Randy Qua's team. Really cool because you don't have to do the rotation, so you can immediately launch Azumarill into the battle with something like a Baxcalibur or a Fluttermane lead and immediately just start dealing incredible amounts of damage without having to rotate. And that's one of the toughest parts about Palafin, is having to actually rotate to get the 0 to hero to actually activate, versus you could just choice band your Azumarill and hit it with Aqua Jet, and it's like Palafin light. So I really do like Azumarill in a lot of these teams. It makes a lot of sense. It's a Pokemon that I've recently been playing with on teams because it just fills that water type damage role without necessarily having to commit to something like Commander from Dondozo and things of that nature. But in terms of other stuff that actually popped up a fair bit that I think is really cool, actually, you did see a lot of Mousehold at this tournament, which I was surprised by. Mousehold was showing up quite a bit. And Mousehold makes a lot of sense just because there are so many strong hitters right now. Having access to that Friend Guard is so nice on so many different Pokemon. So I think Mousehold in general is just still in a really good spot. I know it's not as favorably picked as it used to be, but it just fits that role. You see it, there's still Annihilate Mousehold combo here. There's just a lot of value you get from Mousehold. Murkrow is making a resurgence. I think that's really interesting. Makes sense with a lot of these faster teams that you're using in terms of like Chi-Yu, Flutter. Right now we're in a really fast format. I think that it goes one way or the other. You're either running a really fast team or you're running like a balanced team. There's not a ton of Trick Room that's running around. There was a couple of Trick Room teams that I saw at the tournament, but there's not like an abundance of them. So it's like you're running something that's kind of quick, or maybe just balance, or you're running like Tailwind to some extent with Talonflame or Murkrow. Farigiraf is one that I actually was surprised at the number that popped up. Farigiraf is like kind of a mid-lane pick that has been going on for a while. It makes sense on like Trick Room setups, as you see with like Nathan Ortiz here. It fits on those Trick Room teams. However, in a format that we're currently in, where priority moves are so incredibly prevalent, think of like Baxcalibur with Ice Shard, with King Gambit with Sucker Punch. You have Talonflames running around with Brave Bird and Gale Wings. There's just so many things right now in the format that are using priority. Obviously, you know, Palafin, Jet Punch, things like that. So having access to a Pokemon that just shuts down priority moves in general is so incredibly valuable. And then a Pokemon on top of that that has pretty decent stats. If you look at Farigiraf, pretty decent defensive stats and actually a really solid special attack stat, it could be a very valuable team member. I definitely think it's a really solid Pokemon right now in the metagame. We see a couple Wo-Chien. I'm not surprised that there's like minimal Wo-Chien. It's still like an okay Pokemon to add to a team. It's just it isn't having the success that things like Ting-Lu or Chen Pao or Chi-Yu are having. I think the big thing with like things like Ting-Lu, or even Chen Pao and Chi-Yu. Chen Pao and Chi-Yu are just really easy because you like immediately you're like, okay, these are the Pokemon that are good with this. You're running like Fluttermane, you're running Bundle, Goldango, things of that nature. With Chen Pao, obviously you're running like Iron Hands, you're running Baxcalibur, other physical attackers. That makes sense. Ting-Lu is really nice because it's just a good like splash Pokemon. It fits on a number of different teams. It's hard to find a team where Ting-Lu just doesn't fit. So Ting-Lu is really up there for that reason as well. And we also just don't have a form of like special attack Intimidate, and it kind of fills that role as well. So it kind of hits that Arcanine slot for special attackers like Fluttermane, Bundle, Chi-Yu, things of that nature. Where Wo-Chien has this issue where it's like a good Pokemon, but it is just kind of like fighting for that grass type position with things like Amoonguss that are just so good. So it's kind of tough for people to be like, I want to commit to a Wo-Chien, especially in the face of an Amoonguss, where Amoonguss actually wins the 1v1 every time. So it's just kind of a tricky Pokemon to work on, but I'm glad we're seeing a couple of them here. I'm trying to find it. There's another Pokemon. There's actually a Quacklevolt in the top 60. I love that. I love that so much. That's so cool. Actually crazy. That's really cool. I didn't even notice that before when I was looking at this. Actually a good handful of Screamtail are popping up. I think Screamtail with Howl right now is really solid. Where is it? I know there are some. I'm looking specifically for Orthworm. I think Orthworm's in a very interesting spot in this format because there's so many ground type attackers. Just the insane amount of ground type attackers that there are. I think that Earth Eater is just a crazy good ability to have. So I definitely think that Orthworm is in a really solid spot. There's a Vivian there. Giovanni Costa ran that. There was some just really cool stuff. There was a Reverum somewhere in here. Scizor has actually popped up a fair bit. Just scrolling. There's an Orthworm. There it is. But I think, like I was saying, Orthworm's just in a pretty solid spot. You're able to bop things like Flutter Mane really effectively. If it's running Body Press, you could do big damage to Chenpaos, to Chi-Yus, to Tinglus. All those Pokemon don't really like Orthworm, and you know, you Terra Fire to sit in front of Arcanines and stuff, and playing it with like a Dragonite with Dragon Dance. I'm sure that's what they're doing here on this team. Yep, there's Dragon Dance. You play it with like Dragonite and Flutter Mane, and you just Shed Tail into one of these two Pokemon and start setting up. Or even Tinglu, honestly, on this team. If you look at Tinglu, you could just start Earthquaking, rotate in Orthworm here. It just start like recovering on Orthworm to substitute into another Pokemon. There's so much viability in a format so full of ground types for something like Orthworm, and I think it's really cool that such a niche Pokemon has started popping up a bit more. So yeah, I thought Portland Regionals were incredibly interesting. A lot of really cool team types, and like I mentioned, you're seeing a drop in Palafin usage. I think Palafin maybe wasn't even in the top 12 usage on day 2. I think Dondozo beat it out. And I just think that's really interesting. I think it's really cool that we're seeing other water types pop up so predominantly. I think Bundle is the one that really came back in full force. Bundle and Dozo especially. Bundle is one that kind of fell off at the start of the series. It wasn't really rotated in as much, but people are starting to see the value that you get because there's so many fast Pokemon running around with things like Murkrow and Great Tusk making a return. Having something as quick as Bundle is so valuable, and especially into Pokemon like Great Tusk that are going to hit really hard. Bundle knocks that out and handles it very, very well. So I think it's interesting. I'm curious what other people have to say. Leave a comment below on your thoughts on Palafin kind of rotating out. I don't think that Palafin's bad. Like I said at the start of the video, I think Palafin's still a good Pokemon. I think that like something like this 8th place team here is still really good. I think it's a consistent team. It plays well. It has good matchups into the format. There's just other things that we can do now, because I think the nice thing with this format's much longer than the other ones. There's so much more time to experiment and play with different things that you can start seeing things like Jumpluff start popping up. So I think that I don't think this is going away. I think that Palafin Balance is still going to be so prevalent. But I definitely think that there's room for more growth in Spice and just getting other Pokemon in, like Abomasnow, like Screamtail, like Jumpluff, things like that. I just think this is a really, really healthy and fun meta to play in right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Just kind of a recap video here talking about Palafin and all that super fun stuff. But if you enjoyed the video at any point, leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Also, be sure to check out the Discord where people over hanging out, playing Pokemon. I don't even know if I spoke English there. They're hanging out and playing Pokemon over there. And also check out any of these videos on screen here. I've got a video talking about some good counters for the Chestnut raid. I've got just a bunch of stuff. There's this video I ranked a bunch of starter Pokemon because Pokemon Showdown was down. There's also this VGC video where I used Garchomp on this team. It's a really fun Garchomp team with Choice Scarf Garchomp. I recommend checking all of that out. But until next time, peace.